Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the things, Ben, I mean, don't beat yourself up about that, but you got, yeah, I would say get in the habit of if you see an explosive move where the stock runs up 13 points to the upside, like Roku did, you've got to go ahead and say, look, this is great. It's at 13 points to the upside. Okay, I'm not going to give it all back, but I'm going to let it. I'm going to let it breathe. Sometimes these things get wild. How much am I going to let it breathe? Okay, I'm going to let it breathe. It's up 13 points. Okay, I'm going to be good with it if it breaks below the double digits, so it goes to, goes below 10 points to the upside. I'm taking profits, and I got to be good with that, And there's sometimes I've done that before, and the damn thing just boom, it just skyrocketed again. But I've been in the game long enough to know that profits is everything, and then if you have a move of that substantial size, I typically give it a little bit more breathing room, maybe 3-4 points that I'm willing to give back to the marketplace. But then I'm stepping out. And that's what I did. And then when Roku pulled back down to the downside, and I think it even went negative, I bought more. And then the following day, Friday, it was down at the opening bell, and I bought even more. I'm heavily loaded on that right now. So I'm looking for it to run up. And everything that I've read about it tells me that this thing goes much, much higher. A lot of it, if you take a look at FinViz, I'll share that with you right now. Let me pull this up. But I don't always go like by what analysts are saying and stuff like that. But let me see if I can pull. Hang on one quick second. I don't always go by with what analysts are saying, but in the case of Roku, I take a look at all the things that are out there, how people are going back to, making sure they're isolating themselves and stuff. And Roku, even without that, Roku is just a phenomenal company. And I like the fact that it can be moving up 13 points. That's nothing new for Roku. It's moved up a lot more than that. So this is why I've gotten back into this thing. So when you take a look at this, let's see here, there we go. When you take a look at this, I go with patterns. And when I'm looking at this pattern back down here at this area around the 350 area, that's a pretty good strong support. So I think it closed at about 356, 357, but it's got all this room to go. And then you take a look at this down here. Look at this target price, 471. 471 target price. You take a look at the upgrades from Zacks and some of these other ones, B of A and whatnot, 400 to 475, 450 to 500, 400 to 485, 450. So these are all things that I take into consideration. I go through and I read the news. I take a look to see, here's an article that just came out on Friday. If another stimulus check comes, put Roku stock on your buy list. But all this thing, it just kind of adds to what I'm doing. And then I subscribe to, let me let Megan in. I subscribe to this other service where I get kind of like dark pool flow and high options flow. So you can see top options flow. And this isn't, I'm not going to say this always works out, but it's a high probability. Hi, Megan. It's a high probability that it does work out. So like Tesla, I didn't get into Tesla, but look at all these calls that were on Tesla. And actually SPRT, this came up on my screen. Why, Ben? I ignored it. I don't know why, but look at all this, 185 million calls versus 9.4 puts. And take a look at on the Roku side. Roku was on here as well, but this was from Friday now. So Roku was on there on Thursday. On Netflix, which is the same camp, right? 10 million calls versus 0.3 million puts. These are AMD. AMD just made a lot of sense to me from a technical chart. And I happened to look over at this screen and I saw AMD with 20 million calls, 1.6 million puts. So these are things that, and this is one that Jerry was talking about. How you doing, Jerry? I know you're not watching this, but how you doing anyway? NVIDIA, 33 million calls. I'm not in NVIDIA. I chose to go with AMD, but NVIDIA, 33 million calls, 3.4 puts. So when I take a look at a screen, and you can look at this, like even FinViz has this, but it doesn't have like this detail for the options. But when I look at a heat map, I go with like, and I may not necessarily go with like Netflix. I didn't go with Netflix, but I went with Roku. I didn't go with NVIDIA, but I went with AMD. So this kind of gives me insight to try to follow the money. Where's the money actually going? And those are the things that kind of give me signs about that. But going back to your thing about Roku, you were up 13 points. You didn't put a trailing stop in, which is critical. I mean, you talk about like your goal is to be the best in this business. You got to implement those little things, and you're just learning. So, and I can tell by your post, you're doing a phenomenal job. I get ideas from you in terms of what you're taking a look at. So you're just learning along the way. The one mistake I made in my career early on is that if I had a play like Roku and I didn't put a trailing stop on it, I thought, I'm not going to trade it again. And that's a mistake, because if you go back and you take a look at the charts for Roku, and this is what we go by as traders, right? We go by channels. So if you believe in the company, as I believe in Roku, if you believe in the situation that this is only going to get better, and they're saying that Roku is going to double their growth year over year. If you believe in the company, I'm just using Roku as an example, but you believe in the company, you have a thesis behind it. There's a theme behind it. And then you take a look at areas where it's channeling. So like for me, I have a wide stop on this thing, like at 350. That's my uncle point, as Megan would put it. If this thing, as long as it consolidates here, I'm buying. So I'm heavy on this position right now, very heavy on this position. And I'm looking for this thing to run up, and I'm out until and as holding true to form, I do in the money. So very rarely do I go out of the money. So I have the October $300 call options on this thing. I think my average price is around $59, $60 on those call options. So I think to myself, okay, my target is 400, maybe even 420. If it gets to, let's say it gets to 420, intrinsically, what are those $300 call options going to be worth? Well, they're going to be worth $120. I'll have a double on my hands on this trade. So that's kind of like the purpose why I wanted to get together with you guys, because I'm looking for trades, and I think you're on this. I know you're on the same path that I am, Ben, because I can tell by the stocks that you're looking at. I'm on those stocks that can give me, a quick double, 100% return. And if I get more than that, that's even better. If I get less, let's say it moves up and I get 50% or 30% in a very short period of time, I'm good with that too. So you just kind of have to have in your mind how you're going to trade that. What happens if the unexpected happens, like last week when Roku popped up 13 points? You're going to sit there and say, man, I got all these profits. I'm going to cash out, or I'm going to put a wide trailing stop loss on this thing. And if it yes, baby. Yeah. Okay, go, you go, baby. Dad's busy. Come say hi to Ben, Uncle Ben, and Aunt Megan. Say hi.
Hey.
Hi, buddy. Are you
Hey.
Okay, go.
Are you feeling better?
So for me, I would say, Ben, because I noticed that on your list, because I pay attention to those things, you put down what you're holding. I didn't see Roku on there, so I'm going to assume.
Daddy, dog.
Okay, you go.
No,
Come, JJ.
hey.
Give me 1 second, guys. Hey, go. Kathy, get it. Go. Kathy's not gonna go.
How you doing, Megan? You doing well? You enjoy your trip away?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. We saw so many things and did so much. But I'm glad to have a desk and multiple monitors back. So I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, I get that. Like being in the control seat. Yeah, I know the feeling. What you say about Roku?
Yeah, so my thought on that is, I noticed that you're not holding that. Is that
no, I am holding it. I just didn't put it on the list. I am holding it.
You're holding it. Okay, good.
I've got a leverage position on it. I'm not on options. I've got a 5 times leverage position. I'm currently in the process of looking at the options now, because I wasn't doing options before, and I'm actually glad, because I made a lot of mistakes, which if I'd have done options, I probably would have blown my account up. So rather than jump straight into options, I wanted to get used to reading the charts and hitting a high probability trade, and then getting into putting the money into options. So I'm in Roku. It's 5 times leverage. It was up by 15% or so, 20%. And I sat there and I was like, why didn't I take the profits? And then I knew you would say this, and that's the voice of experience, right, Bruce? It's like having that feeling of the market rather than, just the knowing, the gut feeling when you've been doing it for a long time and you can see things move, and then they pull back. And just getting used to that, being in tune with what the prices do. It was a moment of a great lesson for me. Like, take the profits, man. You're talking about taking profits. Take the profits.
Yep. One of the things, what I would say the learning thing is, and you'll still, I'm very, very confident you'll still be victorious with Roku. I mean, there's a reason I jumped back into it, because I wouldn't jump back into it if I didn't think that it was going to go much, much higher. But
I want to be double victorious, though, Bruce. I want to win on the pump and then win on the long term as well. That's the thing. So when it goes up, get the profits, and then when it comes back down, buy it at the base point again and go with it again, like you've done.
So I would say put into your notes, into your journal, log into your journal. Hey, look, identified a stock that I believe is going to be a winner, but it popped up in one day. It popped up 13 points. The mistake I made was I didn't put a line in the sand. I just watched it give back all my profits. You can't do that again. So you just gotta put a note to yourself, and you won't do that again. I'm sure of it. I'm sure you won't.
Because it stings, right?
Yeah.
That's the one. When it stings, it's a good lesson. You don't put your finger in the fire twice, do you? So it's that feeling of, I could have had that, and the market showed me where it does do. And learning from that, and then not stopping in the future, and just staring and admiring when trades are doing well. That's the thing, looking at it and going, oh, isn't that trade doing well? Look at the profits on that, instead of going, I'll take the profits and then celebrate afterwards. It's a massive lesson for me, Bruce.
Right. Yeah, but I like a lot of the plays that you're looking at. I mean, those are ones that I'm looking at. And I appreciate you bringing up Workhorse again, because that was on my list. And then I forgot, Ben brought it up, and I thought, I forgot to take a look at Workhorse again. But right now, what I'm looking at is I'm looking for stocks that I believe can make a play within, a couple of days. They can make a move within a couple of days time frame and run up. And that's what I'm really hunting for right now on in the marketplace. Like, the problem I have with Wish, I just got to keep reminding myself that Wish is that longer term play. I believe that at some point, I'm not sure when it's going to happen. That's the problem. But at some point, I believe we're going to all wake up and we're going to be, holy shit, Wish is up to $50 a share. I believe that day is coming. I think it's going to like, boom, it's going to pop, and it's going to run quickly. But I don't know when that is. So I keep going in and out of Wish. I'm holding Wish right now, but I want to hold a heavier position on it at some point. I just gotta, it goes back to being patient, but at the same time, it's hard for me as a trader, if I'm being honest, to hold a trade and really load up like I like to load up and just sit there and wait for it to make its move. That's the problem I have.
Same on Wish. It frustrates me every day.
I just remind myself that it's a lesson in growth. Hey,
that's Uncle Ben. He's the good-looking guy in the black.
I'm the one with the no face, the no picture.
Hi, sweetie.
I did try and get the video working, but for some reason it's not working. I'll get it next time.
She just got, this is my bodyguard. She just got out of her jiu-jitsu class.
Wow, look at that. Saturday at jiu-jitsu. Love it.
But yeah, Ben, you're definitely on the right track. We learn from each other, and like Megan and I was doing that for a little bit, and I thought I got to go back to taking a look at those when she talked about doing a search for the short squeezes, the high short interest. It's really brilliant.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah, that's how I got in BBIG before it ever even went off. When the market closed on Friday, I think it was up 150% on those options, and after markets, I seen it went from like $5 to almost $8 now. So on Monday, I'll be cashing out.
Nice. Very
beautiful.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Noticing. Do you have a tendency to go ahead and kind of spread it amongst different trades, or do you go ahead and kind of go with 2 or 3 trades? What's your style? What are you finding is your style?
I like to do maybe 3 trades. Right now, I'm in way too many because there were so many good plays on Friday before close. So I'm in like 12 right now, which is
Oh,
ridiculous.
yeah.
But there's so many things that are doing or going to do really well in my thoughts. So I'm in a lot right now, and I'm going to narrow that down and close down as soon as some of these pop off.
Mm-hmm. What about you,
Like
Ben?
BBIG, I'll be out of on Monday.
I used to have a lot of trades, and I used to get very stressed out trying to keep track of every trade and know what was going on with every stock. So I've got a maximum of 6. Where I'm at now, stock wise, I've got 6 I'm holding. I've got GME, AMC, CRSR, Workhorse, Roku,
I think
and ASXC.
I think that AMC was on my list too. I mean, I'm in AMC right now, and I think that it was on that list that I was sharing with you, Ben, earlier. Let me take a look real quick. Let's take a look at this. Was AMC on here? Maybe not. I thought it was.
You said that you got into AMC on Friday before the day finished, Bruce. That's what
Yeah, I
you said.
did. I got in. I have a heavy position on AMC. But at one point, I thought I saw it on this.
It had about 39,000 open options interest. What does open interest mean on options, Bruce?
So open interest is the amount of activity that is currently being held. What you want to take a look at is, so those are the options. The open interest are the options that are in play at that time. What you want to look for is on the volume, how the volume of that day on the options compares to the open interest. So if all of a sudden you see, let's say the open interest is 1,000, and then all of a sudden you see during the day, the course of that day, the volume on that same strike price is 10,000 to the 1,000 being held, somebody knows something. Let me see if I can find you an example of that.
I'm using a software called Bar Chart that I discovered on Thursday, and it gives like unusual options activity.
Mm-hmm.
Like and AMC was at the very top with AMD on Thursday.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Yep. So I like AMC. Look at this. So I'm not sure how well you read chart patterns right now, but this is a
flag, right?
Do you read them pretty well, Ben?
It's a flag, isn't it?
This is a flag. Look at the flagpole. So you got a flagpole here. Here it comes down. And what happens is it comes down to a certain level, starts to consolidate. Let me zoom in here. Starts to consolidate as it's doing here.
Yeah.
And this is where I got in. When it was like this, I thought I'm going to start giving in. And I got a pretty decent position on AMC as well. So typically what happens is when you get this flagpole and it comes down here in bases, you get a big major pop to the upside and it runs. And in AMC's case, I've traded AMC early on before it was the talk of on Reddit and whatnot. And I made some really good money on it, but I've been out of it since then. But look at this. So it's been as high as $77 a share. And right now we're trading at 40. And again, holding true to form, I believe I went out to January on here. I believe I have the Januaries. And I always typically, I usually go in the money. I want to say I did this. I got to go back and take a look. I got to go back and take a look at what I have, but I want to say it's the $30 call option. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if it's a Jan. I'd have to go back and take a look, but I'm in this play. It's an in the money one. And I believe this one gets a squeeze to the upside.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like it's ready to pop, and GME the same. GME has got a flag on it, very similar, in my opinion, but it's more of an upwards flag.
Mm-hmm. So the thing with GME, so the nice flag, you have this date coming out. Where is this date here?
That's the earnings. It's early next week, right?
Yeah,
or the week
September
after.
8th.
Yeah.
So if you're in this trade, in my opinion, I would be out of it prior to, or I'd be out of it on September the 8th because it's after the bell. But yeah, a lot of the trades, that I get into, like my style is to look for companies that I believe kind of fit a theme. So I got into like the Marriott Vacation Club, because if you look at that business model, it's a phenomenal business model, $6.2 billion.
That's a nice position.
Yeah, I
It
did.
is.
You're mute.
You mute, Bruce.
Yeah, I'm used to talking to myself. So what my style is, and I'll share this with you guys, and maybe you might adopt it to your own, and if it works for you. I mean, it works for me. What I like to do is I like to find a stock that is in a hot sector, or a sector that's heating up, or some type of a theme. Like, they've been talking about the mandates with masks and stuff. So like I've been in and out of RVP, retractable technologies. But when they started talking about the business, the world reopening, I looked at a stock like this. I like to look at stocks that like bottom out. So when I looked at Marriott, I got in down at this point. And this is where you have to, go ahead and you have to know your own risk tolerance and what you can do. So when I'm getting into a trade like this, I don't always pick the exact bottom. So this trade went against me. And what did I do? I doubled down on the trade, and then it popped up and I exited out on the trade. But there's a theme behind it. And in my mind, there's also a reason. I can articulate a reason why a particular stock is going to go up. It's like, I think Jerry mentioned, somebody mentioned, it might have been Jerry or Julia mentioned cybersecurity. And I would agree with that. But I can't really find a good trade for it. So I looked at FireEye, and I said, this is what I won't get into for me. I would have wanted to get into it down here with this consolidation. And now it's run up here, and it's about bumping its head on the 200-day moving average. Me, I won't take that trade. So if you look at the trades that I get into, like AMC, you take a look at this. It's the opposite. So it's down here. It's pulled back down, created a flag. For me, my stop is pretty clear, and it's right above the 200-day moving average. So a very, very different story. So there's a high probability the stock bounces and goes higher. Same thing with like a Roku. And I share this with you guys so it can help you guys, and we can also make a lot of money together by looking for the type of setups that I know have been successful. So here you take a look at Roku. I first take a look and I scale out. I'll take a look at it from a longer term perspective. I'll even go back. I'll put on several years, one year chart. Look at this, hovering right there at the 200-day moving average on Roku. Look at that beautiful, beautiful consolidation. I'll take a look at it even on a longer term time frame. I'll look at a 3-year chart. Still a nice little run up. And look at if you're trading like these blocks where here's the line and here's the line up here. Well, we're getting in at the bottom. And if we look at what I use to make my decisions, after looking at everything, I'll look at the 4-hour chart, as you guys know, and I'll look at this and look at the 8 and 21 just crossed over here. The MACD is moving up. And even if we scale out on that, MACD is really just getting going. And look at this, we're down here at the bottom compared to up here at the top. So those are the type of trades that I like to take. Those are things it doesn't matter if it's a penny stock, it doesn't matter if it's a blue chip stock, if it's a stock like Marriott that has a $6 billion market cap. It's stocks that have trended down. And this is why it's so important to start realizing support and resistance. And I know that Joe Arias, and Joe and I actually went to high school together, so I've known Joe a long time. Joe was actually the CCS champion, the state champion for wrestling. Phenomenal guy. So I always believe that sports guys always make good traders as well because they have that discipline. But what Joe said earlier, which is focus on a few stocks and know their pivot points. So a lot of the stocks that I get into, like I watched Marriott for quite some time, and I started watching it consolidate here, and I looked at a longer term trend, and I saw in the longer term trend that this was a decent support area back here. So those are the trades that I look for. So when you're taking a look at things like this and things, my most recent trades, Roku is a recent holding that I have. AMD is a recent holding that I have. Look at these. Look at AMD. Look at this. Nice uptrend on the overall charts, and then a fresh cross on the 821. And look at the MACD down here. Now compare that to like a a Fire Eye trade. It's already gone. Can it go higher? Yeah, but it's bumping its head right there. So I won't take too much risk for me. So my
Yeah.
trades that just have these type of setups like this. And this is why I like Wish for a lot of reasons. Longer term, it's been on a downward trend. This is easy for me to manage my risk because look at this. Even if you were getting into it just now, in my opinion, this is just getting started. And if you were to say, oh, I don't know if it's going to go higher, well, put your stop right here. Put your stop right there. And say, okay, if it trades down to this area here, 661, I'll jump out of the trade and I'll readdress it later on. But I'm looking for trades that are down at the bottom. They have a reason to go up. I cannot see Wish, being down here forever. My only problem with Wish is how long are we going to hold this thing?
Right.
Yeah, I think there was a reiteration from either Credit Suisse or Deutsche Bank that it was going to go up to 25 or 30. That was last week. That was on Finviz. That's what they said.
Right.
So if they're saying things like that, you'd anticipate that it's not going to be long, right?
That's right.
Credit Suisse, it was 24 to 19, the price.
Now prepare yourself though too, Ben, so that if it does pop, let's say this bad boy pops and it goes to $30 a share.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that, like for me, it goes to 30, my stock goes to 25. I'll give it like a $5 spread. Those are things I look at. Like here's another one that you guys have seen me trading, and I've been holding this since I held this at I got in it way back at $16 a share. Look at this, same type of thing. And this thing has moved up. I think this thing goes to $100 a share as well. I stepped out of the trade on Thursday. I stepped back into the trade on Friday. I'm hoping that I didn't step in too soon, but I stepped in with about half my position. If it pulls down to this area here, I'll load the rest of it up. But this is where my uncle point would be. But I'm a big believer in this trade that it goes higher. But those are the type of things that I look for, is things that I've kind of like bottomed out. I get familiar with the patterns of them, and there's an upcoming catalyst that's going to send the stock to the moon.
I hear that. Yeah, I saw you mention this one, and again after it popped, so I was like, why did I not get involved in that one? And that's when you start to listen, right? When you start seeing these trades, it's like, I need to be listening to this technical analysis stuff because it's got some power.
Yeah, I will never put anything in the room that I'm going to get in and get out of. If I'm going to do that, I kind of keep it to myself, or I might say, hey, this is going to be a day trade. But most, I'd say 99% of my trades are swings, or for 3 or 4 days, or some of them like this one here. You can see how I'm actively managing it. So I've been actively managing it with my trailing stops the whole time, and it's made me a lot of freaking money on this one stock. So it's just it's just a matter of you mentioned another one, Ben, like that I like SOFI. I was in it and I got out of it because it broke my stop. So you can see this. I just obliged by my stops. So there was my uncle point. It pulled down and I got out of the trade. But that doesn't mean I'm giving up on the trade, because I believe this thing goes much, much higher. So my timing was off on the trade though. So now I take a look and I readjust it, and I'll look to see if I get some consolidation around this area here, around the $14 area. If I get consolidation and these moving averages start to move back up, I'm back in on the trade. And the thing about this, you could trade the stock because it's $14 a share. It's cheap. But I'll always look to see, and look at all the activity out here. So I always take a look to see, can I get the option where it's going to be maybe I pay a little bit of premium for it. Like Wish is a perfect example. So Wish, I'm not trading the stock. I'll come back to SoFi, but let me trade Wish, because Wish I'm very familiar with. So Wish, I have the $5. I'm all the way out as far as you can go, which is December of 2022. So that's more than 18 months or so. But I'm trading this one right here, Ben and Megan. I'm trading the $5. Now, why am I doing that? Well, let's do the math on it real quick. Let's say you bought the stock right now at $7 a share, and the stock goes to 20. So that's more than a double. You've more than doubled your money by a little bit, maybe 125%. But let's say that it goes to 20. Let's use the same price target. It goes to 20, and I'm holding the fives. These fives are going to be worth what? What are the fives going to be worth?
I'm gonna do that.
$15 a share,
You should have-
right? So these are going to be worth $15. So let's do the math, $15. That's just intrinsic value. That's not extrinsic value. So $15 divided by $3.60. That's a 316% return net. That's net. 316% return. So do you do this? Do you do the, if you're a believer in it and you believe that's going to go to your price target of 20 in the short term, do you do the stock and look for 125%, which is great? Or do you do the option and you pull in over 300% return net?
That was exactly what I was thinking after I was looking at the options chain on Thursday, and I saw Roku had gone up by 100% or 200% on certain options, and I was like, why am I trading stocks when these options are going up by 200%? And if you're in on that, and you can sell your you can, is it sell your options and get that profit? And why do the stocks? So it's almost an organic process of going from understanding the charts and the stocks to go into the options and going, hang on a second, the same amount of work I'm doing, I could be making more margin doing options, and it's the same principle behind, as you said before, Bruce, picking 100% stocks because you want the maximum profit out of the money as possible. So instead of the opportunity cost and being stuck in stocks for 3 months, going, what can I make if I compound? And I compound at the ratio of 50% on a trade. What's the difference then? And that's what I'm trying to get to. It's a way of being efficient with the money. I think that's what it's about with the investment. And that's what's bringing me to the options chain and saying, hey, you've not been doing options, get involved with the options,
Yep. Hey, but here's what you're spot on when on your assessment there, Ben. Here's what I would say, what I would not want you to do, or anybody on the team to do, because this will take you out of the business quicker than you can say boo, is if you do front month. Notice where I'm at on Wish. I got the December 22, 18 months out on the trade. When the shortest trade that I have on right now in my portfolio is Roku. And those are the Octobers. So that is what, September, October, it's 2 months away, 2.5 months away. And I'm not going to hold it that long, anywhere near that. I'll probably be out. My target is 400. But my whole point is don't do front month options and don't do out of the money options. If you're going to do an out of the money and you're going to do front month, understand you're taking on a huge amount of risk, and it better be risk capital that when you wake up and it's gone, you're not going to be crying the blues. That's the key. You don't need to do that. Look at this. We're out 18 months and you're looking at a very, very high probability of bringing in 300% of your money net. You don't need to do that. When I did Roku, let's take a look at Roku here. So when I'm doing Roku, you have to ask yourself, do you believe that Roku can at least get to here? Can it get to here? We're not even talking about halfway of its high. Can it get to $400? I believe it will. And I believe it will do it in short order. It could happen next week. So if you believe that, why would you go out and do like September's? You go, oh, September's has 20 days left. It's not enough. It's not enough. Even October's, I think for the inexperienced is probably too close. But I did the October's and I could have done these way out here. I knew that. I did the 300. Look at this, 300. $300 call options is what I did. So then you do your math. If it gets to $400 a share, let's just do 420. If it gets to 420, that's worth 120. And I got it at, let's say $60. I'll have a double on my hands. And I'm deep in the money and I'm out to the Octobers. That's the whole point, is that there's times where I will do the stock if the option doesn't make sense for me, but I'm always doing the math. I always know what's my price target. Like on Wish, my price target, my near-term price target, my near-term, not my long-term. Long-term is over 100. My near-term is $20 a share. So at 20, is it better for me to buy the stock, or is it better for me to buy the December 2022 options? It's better for me to buy those. So you got to do the math on those things and understand what your own thesis is on those trades. Sometimes it does make sense to buy the stock. Sometimes it makes sense to buy the option. It just really depends. So SoFi, I haven't looked at for a little bit because I got out of the trade. I can't remember which one I was in, But I'm going to say I was probably in the Januaries. So if we do the math on these real quick, even if you take a look at this in the money, deep in the money, or let's look at this. Let's look at this. A lot of open interest right here. So a lot of liquidity. So if you take a look at this, 10 plus $4.85, that means you're paying very, very little, and you're out 146 days. There's no reason to go front month. You're out until the Jan 2021. So you're out 146 days. There is no reason to do front month. You know, these are going to tease you and tantalize you. Don't do them. So here you're out here. This is very, very similar to buying the stock. Why do I say that? Well, what are you paying for it? You're paying let's say $4.85. $4.85 plus your $10 is $14.85 is what that's worth. $14.85. What's the stock trading for? $14.04. You're paying 80 cents, probably 75 cents, because we could probably get it for $4.80. You're paying 75 cents of extrinsic value, extra premium. That's worth it for me. Now let's take a look at this stock. Let's take a look at this. Huh? Okay. So if we take a look at this, I believe SoFi goes much, much higher. But let's just say short term, it goes to this peak right here. Let's say it goes a little bit over this peak and goes to, let's just use a round number, say $20 a share. Let's say it goes to 20. And we can always calculate 17 too. But let's say it goes to, well, let's calculate 17. Let's calculate 17. See what happens if it goes to 17. If it goes to 17, what's this going to be worth? This $10. It's going to be worth $7. And that's just intrinsic value. That's not extrinsic value, intrinsic value. It'd probably be worth $9. But let's just say $7. You almost have a double on your hands right here. And that's if it goes to just 17. We're 3 points away from that. So you got to ask yourself, can it jump from here from here to this area here? If you believe it can, I do. And you're out until January. If it goes to 20, you're even in collecting more money. But I'm going by like key pivot points. I think if we get a squeeze on SoFi, so if I take a look at this, kind of like what Megan would do here. If we take a look at, where is it?
On the short interest. SoFi is 26.23 short interest.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
So just so everybody, for the purpose of knowing how to get there, you go to FinViz. This is free. I don't subscribe to this. I don't know. Somebody told me that doesn't really make a difference. So it's free. There's no excuses. You come down here. This is where Megan's getting the information. Here's the short flow right here, 26.23%. That's high. So if this thing starts to get momentum and goes above a key pivot point, this thing is going to get a squeeze, and it's going to go much, much higher than what we just showed on the charts. So these are the things you want to start taking a look at.
I like SoFi. I just don't feel like it's ready for the squeeze because there's so many things ahead of it that have a higher short interest. So I don't think SoFi will be quick. So Ben, when you're saying shares versus options, what I do is I would grab SoFi shares because I don't think it's ready, but I also believe in it and don't want to miss out on it. So I have two different accounts, and one I would grab SoFi shares, throw it in there so I don't miss it. And then as I think it gets closer, I want to use my option money on options I think are ready.
That's a good
Thanks,
point,
Megan.
Megan. Really
Yeah,
good.
thanks for that. Yeah. Look, were you going to say something else as well, Megan? Because I think you want to say something.
I was, and now I forgot.
Short-term memory, baby. That's what happens when you reach 60.
Trader's mind by the sounds of it. Too much going on.
Oh my gosh. Here's the other one you brought up too, Ben, Workhorse. Now see, this fits into my criteria. You take a look at this. So again, you got to go back and take a look at the story of the company. Do you believe in what Workhorse has the opportunity? I do. I believe that there's going to get a government contract, a huge one. And I think that's going to make I think overnight this thing goes boom. Look at this. So here it's gone up as high as $16, $17 a share. It's pulled back down. But now look at this. Look at the trend. Crosses the 8 and 21, making a move to the upside. Let me take a look real quick at short interest on this.
38.4.
What is it, Megan?
38.46.
Wow, that's high. So again, guys, for those of you that are watching later, we miss you. And here's what you're taking a look at, Workhorse. So you take a look at this, you go to FinViz, you go to your Workhorse, wait for the thing to load up, come down here, scroll down, you see all this. Look at this, short float, 38.46. So This is where you get that information on. So I don't just go by this. I know Megan and Ben don't either. You have to take a look at the story of the company to see if it's going to make sense for you. And then if it has that on it and the chart looks good, that's just, I look for things, like I said early on, I look for layers. Does it have this? Does it have that? Does it have this? And I start stacking those things in my favor.
Definitely a powerful system, Bruce. Definitely to ask questions about the layers. What's the options? What's the volume? This is also something. This is the volume of the trading on a daily basis, and you can pretty much see which ones are liquid and which ones aren't. You can filter them out, and you can choose different filters to pick high liquidity with high short interest,
Yep.
which is what Miriam reminded me of. I had somebody remind me of that at the very beginning, and I stopped doing it because I got obsessed with just looking at stocks, and that stock's moving, I'll get involved with that rather than getting into the trades at the base point, as you say. And you know, I've been long on stocks and ended up holding bags, you know, and that's not a nice place to be in, is it? When you buy at the top and the price drops by 30 or 40%, and then you've got to sit and wait out for a month or two until it comes back. It's not a nice place for a trader to be at all, is it? Because you can see these opportunities, but your liquidity is all tied up in the position where you're holding the bag.
Yep. Agreed. You know what I would do for everybody on the call, and I don't know if Ben and Megan, I think Megan does this. I'm getting the sense you probably do as well, Ben. Is I make a list of, so you're not chasing your tail, and you don't overlook anything. I make a list of all the stocks that I know from a fundamental point of view, from a thesis point of view, that has a high probability. That's not saying that the list means that all these stocks are technically ready to go. But like Square is on that list. Megan brought that up the other day. Square is on the list. There's other ones that are on the list. Airbnb I haven't looked at lately, but because I was in Marriott Vacation Homes, which I think goes hand in hand with it. But my suggestion is you make a list of all the stocks, even if they're not technically ready, all the stocks that meet your kind of your why list, your thesis list, your reason why they would go up list. And then you just kind of go through nightly and you take a look at them, and you just scan them right on yourself manually, going right through, boom, 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 boom. Oh, this one's not ready. And then when you come across one that, like Workhorse, it's like Prime, in my opinion, or AMC or AMD, any of those, or Roku. Now they meet my technical list. And now it's like, yeah, now it's time to take a position on these things. And then you make a decision which one you want to get into. My own personality is I usually get in, maybe 2 plays, 3, maybe 3 is heavy for me, but I usually get into, and I go heavy on the positions. I'm not telling you that's what you need to do, but that's what has worked for me, is that so very, very quickly, it's like, whoa, my account has just blossomed, overnight. But you have to have that discipline. You have to have the understand, if the stock pulls down, what are you going to do? If the stock pops up, what are you going to do? It's like playing chess. You're thinking several moves ahead. So that way, when it happens, you're like, it's already happened here. It's already happened in your mind, and you're able to go ahead and just react to it. So you have to get in the habit of doing that. And I think, like to Baby Joe's comment in the chat, is that he mentioned following only a handful of stocks. So if you're going to make a whole list of a whole wide variety of stocks, you got a lot of homework, and just understand that as a trader, you have a lot of homework and a lot of due diligence to do, because it's not just off of the technicals, although it might seem that way, and there's nothing wrong with just doing that. But if you want to put on the layers, like what I'm talking about, putting on the layers, you want to know what the upcoming catalyst is going to be as well. And that's how I make my decisions, and then I feel comfortable going in heavy on them. And then if it pulls back down, I know either I'm going to get out or I'm going to double down, so it's just, you got to make that decision for yourself. But I'm just telling you what works for me, and then looking at that heat map and taking a look at what's going on. Like right now, biotech stocks, if you notice, biotech stocks have been on fire. So look for some biotech stocks that meet that criteria in this case. If there's other stocks that have been on fire, like I think they talk about the economy and inflation increase. And well, what's going to happen if we start getting inflation and stuff and price of everything starts going up? What are companies going to do? They're going to look for technology. That's why I like technology stocks. They're going to look for technology. They're going to look for AI, artificial intelligence, on how to streamline processes. So in my mind, I'm also looking and taking a look at like 3D printers. What's on the horizon for that? So that's just how my mind thinks. And I'm constantly looking at the news and the headlines to see what's going on in the world. As a trader, how does this affect me? And that's how I look at things.
I like that. Yeah, I think you said something about getting intimate with the stock, like learning about the stock and living and breathing the stock. Bruce, that was something that you mentioned very early on in coaching, the mentorship. It was like, get intimate and learn of everything you can about the stock, how it moves, and then be able to kind of predict that before it happens. I'm looking at Pinterest because Megan shared it in the Facebook about Pinterest, and that chart caught my eye. It's what you've been mentioning about it being at the bottom of its downtrend and then forming the shape of starting off at the beginning of the uptrend again. Straight away when I saw it, I was like, that looks like it could really move as well.
I'll tell you, Ben, I'm out pretty far on Pinterest. I think that it has hit the bottom. We don't have the volume yet on it because there's so many other plays in motion, but Pinterest in my mind is sort of like Wish or Workhorse, like the money's going to go back because we're at lows, but there's so many other parties being had right now where the money's flowing into. So I just went, well in the money, and I gave myself a lot of time on Pinterest. And I'm just kind of actively watching it.
I guess
what option did you take on that, Megan? What strike price?
Guys, I'll be right back. Megan and Ben.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, actually, I've reduced my position, Ben. I only have 2 contracts for October for Pinterest. It was taking a little bit longer than I wanted. So when we got the bounce on August 26th the other day, I cashed out some of my wins and moved my money to BBIG on the, so I took my money on Pinterest on the 26th and I moved it into BBIG before we got the pop there. So, when I free up some capital from my other plays and I think Pinterest gets more ready, I'll go more that direction. But I did close out quite a few, it looks like. I have 2 left.
And when I look at BBIG, I get that feeling of FOMO. It's like, it's already gone, I've missed it,
Yeah, that one I think you missed. I think I got in on that one on the 26th. Because it has heavy short interest, like 55% short interest.
Nice.
And I saw that it was picking up volume and that the histogram was turning bullish and the MACD was on top and the 8 had crossed the 21, all of these things. So I thought I'm going to take a YOLO play in this. It may bump its head on the 200. It may go through it. So I threw $1,000 down on it. Real far out in the options. And then when I made quite a bit of money off of that, I actually bought some more contracts with those profits. But I'll be closing that out on Monday.
Do you think that's what's going on with a lot of traders right now is that they're looking, retail traders especially and crypto traders, is that they're looking for situations with high short interest that they can orchestrate a squeeze on?
Yeah, I think that ever since the whole Reddit ganged up on the hedgies, they really are looking for ways to band together all of their monies, but they do really like good quality companies too, like Workhorse.
Sure.
So I think it's a combination, and FOMO is huge with everybody out there right now. I just don't want to be left holding the bag. So, Bruce told me once I'd rather be late to the party, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. I'd rather be late to the party to know I'm right. And then I'll get out early and leave the party before it gets out of hand and I'm left holding the bag, and I'll be putting a put on the way down because I don't think that there's a reason for it to be this high. But BBIG has a merger that was, kind of announced. And I think that's part of that too. It's not just that it's, 56% short hedge, short float, but also now, Fidelity ran out of shares for the shorts to borrow. So they're going to get squeezed and have to buy at market price, which is just pushing it up further and farther. So, originally this came on my radar and I bought it before anything happened because it was over 50% short interest. Then I quick went to the chatter and I saw it was being talked about on the Reddit channels and Twitter and things like that. And I'm like, well, there's chatter. People see this. I'm just going to buy now while they're cheap and go really far out so that if I'm wrong, I can sell them and it won't be, too bad of a hit. And, it went the way that the trend seems to be going with these high short interest.
Okay, so
But
Ben,
what channel do you use, Megan, to check the conversations like Reddit and Twitter? Do you use any software for that?
No, I just go to this one website and it aggregates all of the conversations. So I'll throw it in the chat here. It's so it basically aggregates how many times tickers are talked about on like Reddit or Wall Street Bets or SPAC conversations, investing, whatever, and penny stock talks, and you can just see like the percentage that things are up. And then I'm like, what's that? And then I can look further into it. So I just look to see if things are trending on that website.
Thank you.
let me share something with you, Ben, real quick. If I can see it, my bar is blocking me. Just give it a minute. But this software here that I recently subscribed to is the one I was just showing you. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to actually set it to it before I go to it. Here we go.
Is that the one with the option screener on it, Bruce?
So this is what it
This
is.
one.
It's called Tradelitics. I'll put it in the chat as well. But so this doesn't only show you, I'll move our pictures out of the way. This doesn't only show you inflow of puts and calls. There's a whole variety of things that it shows you. So if you take a look at here on the left-hand side, you see where it says chatters?
Yeah.
Click on this. You can go to Twitter. I usually go to Wall Street Bets. You come over here. Daily top chatter, weekly top chatter. So this tells you how much in this thing when like at one point, like a couple weeks ago, they had Clove on there that was leading the pack, and I was in on it, and Clove just ran up like a unleashed beast. Same thing with Wish. So you can see Wish has dropped down here, but look what's in the lead right now. GME, BlackBerry, AMC, which is a good thing for me. I know Jerry's in this too, but I think Jerry's a long-term holder though. I don't think she trades it. I could be wrong. Baba's in there. The SPYs are in there, which is good for the overall markets, right? And then on the they have things that have trended down. These are things that have trended. This doesn't mean that they're bearish. This just means that they've actually trended down. They were talked about. Now they're not talked about as much. So this is I find this to be very useful. I don't just, I like if I see GME, I was like, oh my gosh, GME has hit the limelight. I'm going to trade it. That's not what I do. I'll come over and I'll say, let me take a look at GME. Let me see if it's a stock that I like and I know. If it's not a stock that I don't know the stock, then I'll research it to see what it's doing. But here's GME. It's not looking actually that bad, to be honest with you. So they have, it looks like they have earnings on September the 8th. So if I was going to trade this, and I don't know, if I was going to trade this though, I would be aware of this date here, and I would, and also know that going into earnings, if it's a good company with a good outlook, they typically have a run up into earnings. So I would be taking profits on the way into earnings and not hold it overnight. The other thing that I want to say, Ben, and because I think Megan does this as well, and if Megan, you don't, then maybe you want to put this down your notes too. And not only do I do a physical stop on the charts, but I do a time stop. You guys ever do that? A time stop?
Yeah.
Explain it more.
Yeah, so I will get in, and it goes back to my thesis. I'll get in and I'll say, okay, I expect this stock to go up, to do this. based on the charts, based on what I know about it, based on different conversations that I see out on social media. And if it doesn't do it within a few days of the chart setup, I close out of the trade.
Yeah, other than Wish, I do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. I aim to do it, and then sometimes I let the market take over. Just being honest with you, you know, sometimes it's like I'll stop out of that within a couple of days, and then something will happen. I'll be like, oh, well, I'll give it another chance, and it's just about learning to. Again, I did it with Workhorse. I was like, if it doesn't break below 975 or above 975, then I'll get out of the trade. But then it went above and came back down because of the conversations around the Fed and what was happening. I was like, I'll give this another go because I think the market got suppressed in advance of that, and I think there's a real opportunity for it to bounce back on Monday.
Yep. Hey, so in the chat, just so you know, Ben, Megan posted the site that she was using, and I posted also Tradelytics as well, so you can take a look at that. Hopefully you have that available to you in the UK.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I've got it. Thank you, Bruce. It's in the.
You know, I'll tell you guys what my goal is. I mean, my whole goal, like every quarter, is to double my account. And there's some quarters I've done more than that, and there's some quarters I come up shy, but I typically come pretty close to that. And it's just I found my groove of what works. And there's times that I won't trade. There's times I won't take a trade where I'll be quiet and I just don't trade because it's maybe something, maybe it's me, maybe it's not the markets, maybe it's me. I'm not feeling it. You know, so you have to, you know, trading is a whole thing about not just the markets, it's about you as well, and knowing when to step to the sidelines and give it a break. And then when you have big wins, to treat yourself, you know, whether it's buying yourself something, taking your family out, whatever it might be, taking yourself out, that's important too. My whole goal, you know, in starting really the Traders Roundtable is to really create just monster badass traders that can, you know, sniff out trades in the marketplace. And that's why I have no problem, you know, sharing with you guys what it is that I look for, the tools that I use, because I can't be everywhere. And I mean, you know, Ben bringing up Workhorse is a perfect example. Megan bringing up Square is another great example. It's something that I think that's the beautiful thing about the markets. It's not like real estate, because I do real estate as well. In real estate, you only have one winner, the person that ends up putting the property under contract and buying it. In the markets, we can all win. And that's what I want for us. I want us to all win. I want us to really just, it's a life-changing thing. You know, there's some guys like on Twitter that, and I know some of these guys that have gone from very little in the markets to well over, not $1 million, well over $10 million in their own personal accounts by trading the markets. These are young guys. And what they do is they do what you said you're doing, Ben, before Megan got on the call. Ben was saying, he goes, I've spent the last 3 hours, you know, searching for stocks, looking for trends, finding out where the money is going into. Well, guess what? That's what's required to be able to. I mean, if you want to be an average trader, you don't have to do much. You just go, I think this trade is going to do well. But if you really want to be able to change your lives and really be able to get some serious money and become, you know, multi-decamillionaires, it's going to require, you know, just doing work when the markets are closed. That's what it requires. And then when it comes down to the markets, you have to trust yourself. You have to trust your system. But that's the other thing, is that when in the marketplace, you cannot, you know, one week you're using like my system, the 8 and 21 and the MACD. The next week you're using a completely different system, and you're saying, man, I can't find my groove. Of course you can't find your groove. You're not consistent with your system. So you have to understand what your system is and kind of layer onto that system, where, like, for me, it's hard to explain, but, you know, like I try to share the things and try to articulate it. And maybe I don't do a great job all the time, but I look at the 8 and 21, but it's also looking at the thesis of why I think that's going to go up. It's also looking at, has it bottomed out? It's also looking at, are there things in social media that I think are going to draw the stocks? So there's a lot of things that go along with that. And there's like little checklists that I go off of. And then at the end, it's like, gosh, how good I feel about this trade. And if I don't feel good about it, I won't get in. And that's why the majority of my trades, I'm going heavy, because I feel good about them. Otherwise, I wouldn't get in. So AMC, I'm heavy on. Roku, I'm heavy on. You know, Wish, I'm heavy on. You know, so it's just, you have to have that own your own idea of what's going to work for you in the marketplace. And hearing Ben getting into options, that's phenomenal. I just don't want to see you make the same mistakes that a lot of people make, Ben, and doing those out of the money, front month, weeklies. That's just, it's not going to make you money. The statistics show that it's not going to make you money.
That's why I've been cautious in my approach to it, Bruce, is because it's unknown to me. I'm uncertain about it. And I wanted to really immerse myself in the strategies that you're using to create certainty in the trades, to make them high probability trades. So that when I'm doing options, I'm not feeling, okay, I'm not certain about how to do options. And at the same time, I'm not certain about this trade. And I need to close that out now because the option has dropped 50%. Like I said, with the Roku, it went up 200%. And within an hour, it had gone down to minus 60. I was like, I don't want to be doing any of this, where I'm losing 60% in 10 seconds flat. I don't want any of that. So I hear you, Bruce, and thank you for sharing your system with us. It's good that we're all working together. And one thing I like is the fact that we all win together, which is what you said early on. Those trades are more meaningful when we all win together. Like when we did the workhorse originally, we made quite a lot of money on that. And it was like the feeling that we'd all made money together was more so than just making money alone. It's the camaraderie and the family group feel of doing that together and seeing people grow that makes it more meaningful for me. I really enjoy the group. I think I said to you before I joined the group, this is going to change my life. It has changed my life, Bruce, already, because I'm not stressing about it. I can actually get up from my desk and go and make a coffee and not be needing to be sat at my desk worrying about closing out the trade. But does that make sense, Megan? Do you know what I mean? That feeling of constantly needing to look at the screen. When you've done your background and you've done the analysis, you kind of, well, this is going to work out, so I can step away for 10 minutes and not need to worry about it as much.
Yeah. The one thing, I appreciate you saying that, Ben. I really do. The one thing I would say for both of you to maybe implement, and I haven't heard you guys say it as much, and you're just getting started, Ben, so that's probably one of the reasons. But when you're taking on a trade on options, you may want to think and consider going the other side and taking a little bit of your money and putting it on puts for that same trade. You may think, well, why would I do that if I really am confident in the trade? It'll eat into some of your profits. It's true. But if you're wrong on the trade, and there's times we're wrong, as you know, the trade pulls down, that put option that you have on there absorbs a lot of that pain that you would feel if you didn't have the put option on.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think, Megan? I mean, you always seem to me that you're always like on it and focused and picking stocks, and that's how it seems. You're away on holiday and you're like, I'm logging on while I'm away on holiday and stuff like that,
Yeah, I mean, I spend a massive amount of hours trying to catch up education-wise. I'm also in another group, Ben, that they have maybe 20 hours or 30 hours of option content out there right now. And we do a Zoom call every single morning before the market opens and every other night. So I'm on an options class there. Plus I'm, in Bruce's group, the Traders Roundtable. And then I also do several hours of research throughout the day. Plus I'm trying to run my business. And so I'm putting in a massive amount of time. One thing that I learned is you need to be very clear when you say, I'm looking at the screen every minute, I'm scared to walk away. You need to figure out if you're a swing trader or a day trader, because a swing trader shouldn't be looking at every tick. And the day trader would be, and you're only in, 5 to 15 minutes. And so what are you? Because it's really hard to be both. If you're a swing trader, but you're checking every tick every minute, you're not going to be an effective swing trader, because the stock is going to fluctuate throughout the day, right? But if you're a swing trader, the ultimate goal is that trend. And so as a swing trader, which is what I wanted to try to be, I was watching every tick and like, oh, I'm right, I'm wrong, I'm right, I'm wrong.
Had I just closed my computer and walked away saying, I've got time on my options, I'm well in the money, I'm confident in my plan, I've done the research and the technical analysis, I actually had a much better time in my heart and my stomach closing my computer and not watching every tick, opening it back up a day later, or, you know, after the market closed, and saying, in the end result, it went the way that I want. I didn't want to watch my dollars fluctuate throughout the day because it hurt my heart. In the end, it did what I wanted. It's just the journey along the way really sucked. So I've learned that if you're a swing trader, you don't want to watch every tick. And if you want to watch every tick, you're probably not a swing trader, you're probably a day trader. So you first have to figure out, in my mind, what is it that works for you? And everybody's is different. There's swing traders that make money. There's, you know, day traders that make money. So what is it that you are comfortable with? And then kind of stick to that, because, and I break the norm. Sometimes I swing trade, sometimes I day trade, but I'm not going to look at a day trade, a minute chart on a swing trade, because it's going to drive me bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was good, Megan. You hear my son?
Yeah.
Ay.
He's like, let's play.
It's Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Saturday. Let's
I
play.
always say though, Ben, this is where we make our money though. You know, just having conversations like this. It really is. You know, I want to go over one other quick thing with you guys and then kind of see if you guys have anything you want to add. But we talked about this, and I just kind of going to give you insight to how I think when it comes to like, what was the stock that we just brought up? BB, I don't know what it was. It was big.
BBI,
IG.
yeah, BBIG, yeah.
So I don't chase, but I've been in the markets long enough where I also expect a stock like this is going to be volatile. And for me, I will take a look at the open and bell, that first 15 minutes. I will be watching this and seeing what this actually does. And if it pulls down, I don't expect it to pull all the way down here, but if it pulls down to maybe the $5 area, I will start going in on this trade, just because there's so much, and give you my mindset on this. There's so much talk about it. There's so much of that FOMO about it. And you'll have a lot of the traders buying up here. Be patient. If you're going to get into this, let it drop down to this area, maybe the $4.75, $5 area. And then if it does start to spike back up, start to scale out of the position. That's kind of my plan for something like big.
Thanks for sharing that, Bruce. Yeah, I
Oh,
appreciate
look at
it.
the baby.
Look at this. Starting them young.
She's showing her baby. Look at the baby. Oh, look at the baby. So,
What's the name?
I didn't see the end result on SPRT. I mean, that had that huge blow up overnight, and then people were laying puts on it that next morning.
yeah, look
Where did it
at
end
this.
up?
Ben, this is something that Megan just brought up something. And this kind of goes back to your Roku trade. So when I'm in a trade, if I have a big move in a very, very short period of time, I switch my 4-hour chart to a 1-minute chart. Why do I do that? Because then you get this big move up. Let's just say this is Roku. Instead of giving back all the trades, the same thing that we're using for the 4-hour, the 8 and 21 and the 200-day moving average, it works. So if you were to see this, and this was Roku, you would have got out here. So anyone that was in SPRT, I was not in SPRT, unfortunately. I wish I was, but if I was in it, I would have given back some of the profits here, but I would have been making my exit here. So I switch over to a 1-minute chart. Even though I'm a swing trader, I switch over to a 1-minute chart to be able to help guide me on big erroneous moves like that. Does that make sense, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then we eat both ways, Ben. We eat
Yeah.
with the call on the way up, and we eat with the put on the way down.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was wondering how people did that. That was the other question, was like, how do you double your money on a single trade with the same amount of investment, which is basically buy before it goes up and sell on the way down, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
It's what they do in the crypto by the looks of it with the Bitcoin. They push it up and then they short it back down again, and then they push it back up and they short it back down again. And obviously some people are making vast amounts of profits doing that. Now it's happening on all these FOMO stocks.
Yeah.
GME, if you look, it goes to 300, it drops to 150. It's the same thing, you know?
Yeah, look at GME on the 1 minute chart, just popped over there. But let's see it on the 1 year chart. This
So
thing is really just
It
gone.
goes up, then they short it down, then the same, it goes up, they short it, same again.
GME looks pretty decent, man. And I think this was on the call list. Yeah, it looks pretty decent. Are you in this, Ben?
I mean,
I am.
I've got a small leverage position in GME and AMC, not massive. It's about risk reward for me. I don't want to go too heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's a
Okay.
firm at right now?
What is it?
A firm?
What's the ticker symbol for that?
Is it AFRM? Yeah.
Are you in this one, Megan?
I missed out on this one. I'm watching it though. They created a deal with, I think Amazon for that pay in
Oh,
advance.
Yeah. But look at this though. This might be something to take a look at because look at that exhaustive wick right here. You know, so it'll be something to take a look at for sure.
Yeah, I'm watching it to see if the money's gonna leave. You know, with BBIG, you're gonna see the money go where these things are popping because of FOMO. So I'm watching a firm because a firm and BBIG kind of popped at the same time. So I'm curious to see what happens with both of those and what's next.
Yeah, we'll most likely see anything with high short interest start popping because that's what people are looking for in the buying decisions. When they've doubled the money on SPRT and BBIG, what usually happens is they look for the next one, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, you don't want to be left holding the bag. And I mean, some people, like I said, play it both ways, up and down, and go where there's volume, because the volume is how we get those pops. If there's no volume, even if it's a perfect setup, it doesn't really matter much.
Such a cute baby. I'll
Really
put
cute.
that.
You say hi? Would you hi?
Hi. There you go. Hi.
Starting young,
Hi.
So
really
cute.
cute.
How old is she, Megan?
She just turned 1.
Oh, happy birthday, baby.
Nice.
When was her birthday?
August 8th.
That's my daughter's birthday.
Really?
My oldest daughter. Her birthday's
Oh,
August
Kathy?
8th. Kathy.
Hey, you and Kathy have the same
Kenzie's
birthday.
birthday is coming up. Kenzie's birthday is September the 7th.
Okay.
And,
September
and
the
your
7th.
son's born on November the 11th, right, Bruce?
What's that?
Is your son born on November the 11th?
Yeah, well, you got a good memory, Ben. No, he's November the 1st. November the 1st.
No, November the 1st, 111. Yeah, all the ones.
Yep, all the ones. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. That's
Right.
crazy.
All right, guys. Well, hope you guys have a great weekend. If I think of anything else, I'll put it in the chat room, and let's. I think we'll do very, very well next week with our holdings that we have.
Oh my gosh. I have like 12 or 13 holdings right now, Bruce. It's ridiculous. My hand hurt from my journal, and I was like, this is what you get, Megan, for taking too many plays. But they all look so good. I had to get in.
Are you in Roku with us, Megan, or no?
Sure am.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know you got into AMD.
Yeah, I'm in AMD too. I'm heavier in AMD than I am in Roku right now because I think that AMD is going to go first.
Yeah,
And I'll just move that
AMD had
capital.
they had a lot of call options come in, and along with that was NVIDIA. So that to me tells me that industry is poised. And the same thing with Roku.
Right.
It was first Roku, and then there's a lot of interest on Netflix. So I think that's the industry. It's going to push both those stocks up.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I just have way too many. I'm looking at my list right now and I'm like, oh my gosh, Megan. But as soon as they pop off, I'll take that capital off.
Ask yourself, would you want 12 kids? That's a good one. You know, treat your stock positions like your children and ask yourself, would I want 12 children, you know?
If she did that, Megan would be a buy and holder.
My children cost me money.
That's a good answer for sure.
Cute.
Great. I really enjoyed this call. Thanks a lot for your time, Bruce. It's great to see you, Megan.
Well, yeah, great to
Hey,
see you too,
Bruce.
brother.
I got a
Yeah, I'll
question.
get the
for you.
video sorted out soon. I did have a picture this time at the back with the Golden Gate Bridge, but it didn't come up. I don't know why. So I'll wait till I'm there with the real thing, hey?
All right. When I go to UK, man, I'm going to be looking you up.
Awesome. Anytime, come and see me in Manchester, Bruce. Anyone in the group can come and see me in Manchester anytime.
Thanks, brother. And you got a place here in San Francisco whenever you want.
Thanks a lot, brother. It's great to speak to you both, and I'm looking forward to the week ahead.
It's gonna
All
be
right.
a good week.
Have a great week, guys. I'll talk to you guys later.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Bye, baby.
Bye-bye.
See you,
Bye,
Megan.
Bruce.
She's so cute.
Thank you.
So cute. Gosh, send her my way. I want another kid.
We'll come visit.
But she's saying bye to me. Look at that.
Yeah, he is. Hey Bruce, so I've been taking a lot of different plays. I mean, do you want me posting them in the chat or not? Like I just,
Yeah, I would say, let me hang on a minute.